Ladies and gentlemen, we hope everything goes well today. Welcome, welcome. It is Monday night. You know what that means. The Black Baseball Mixtape podcast is live on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. You can make sure to check us all out and get all our hot takes. There's been a lot of hot takes recently coming from the long form show. Yes, Flobo, looking at you as always.
I know what you mean.
Uh,
I know
but
what
the
you mean.
but the whole crew is here and we're about to get into it. As always, lots to talk about today, whether it is who's at the top of the charts, who's at the bottom of the charts, who's real, who's not, who would you rather have on your team, and also, as always, look at that African American. I'm sure will be fantastic this episode. Before we get into everything, let's make sure we talk about our sponsors, our wonderful partners. As always, shout out to the Players Alliance, Minority Prospects, Number Game Scorecards. If you like scoring baseball games, make sure you check out Numbers Game Scorecards. Look up for the Black Baseball Mixtape Scorecard. Put in the discount code Black Baseball Mixtape full word, and you will get. I know there was a question about this, but I believe it's a 10% discount, and you will also help support the show as always. Lots to get into. I want to personally welcome you and thank you for checking us out and always hitting subscribe. Flippo Boyce is in the building. My brother, how are you feeling?
Man, I'm doing all right, man. I mean, baseball's in full swing. We got my summer schedule. We talked about this last week. We teased it. Banana balls happening in August for me. I'm getting more into the whole college scene. I'm trying to expand the horizons, man. I'm good, though.
You are good. Last week, you made it known you attended your first softball game over at UCLA. Make sure you check out In the Booth because you will hear all about that experience on a wonderful solo pod by Flobo. I also did a first this past weekend on Friday, actually. I saw my first University of Virginia baseball game in Davenport Field in Charlottesville. UVA is about an hour away from me. It's not very far at all. I should have done this a long time ago. I've seen UVA baseball play before. When they come to Richmond, they'll play University of Richmond, they'll play VCU. I've seen them play, but I've never gone to Davenport Field and took that in. And it was phenomenal. I will say it was a fantastic. Like, I don't know. College campuses are so beautiful anyway.
Yeah.
But if I was a kid being recruited from some of these ACC schools, or I'm assuming SEC schools, and I'm assuming, Big Ten schools and whatever is on the West Coast now, whatever they're calling it. I just don't know. I just don't know how you get to these places and not be like, this is for me. Because
Right.
UVA is like, obviously UVA's got a great basketball team. They've got some good things going for them. But if you actually go to the campus, it's beautiful. The athletic facilities are top notch, and I just don't know how kids don't fall in love with these places anywhere you go, because I like there are a lot of them that are really really awesome. With that said, I showed you guys in the group chat. I also got a very nice surprise that I did not expect, did not plan on it, but the ACC softball tournament was taking place at UVA while I was there. So I got to see, I believe it was Duke and Florida State playing
Amazing.
a semifinal game. It was Duke
Yeah.
and Virginia Tech. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Duke and Virginia Tech playing a semifinal game, and Virginia Tech wound up winning that game and going on to the finals.
Mhm.
I believe they played Florida State there. But just seeing that environment, so it was fantastic. So, but I say all that the long way of saying, go out and check out some college baseball, college softball. Flobo did it. I've done it. I mean, it's fantastic. We know all about April, who are about to kick to now.
Okay.
Welcome to the show program. I know this is a big time of year for college softball. We're going to talk about that later in the program. But how are you feeling, April?
I am feeling amazing. Watched the college selection show last night. Watched my Dodgers lose to the Braves this weekend, and just seeing a lot that's happening within both the professional and the collegiate world. This is just my time to shine right now. I love having both of them available to me at the same time. No lie, but I'm very happy that y'all were able to have that. Both of you to have that experience, because I do think that that is one of those pieces where, yeah, you can compare it, but the audience involvement, even in both of those, especially with you being at the ACC tournament, I like it's a different level of excitement.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was fantastic to see. I didn't expect to see it. Kind of like Flobo thought he was going to a baseball game and ended up at a softball game.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to a baseball game, but the way that the UVA complex works is you
Mhm.
kind of go through the front gates, and once you're in, you have like the softball complex over here, the
Mhm.
baseball complex over here. I believe there's track and field and lacrosse,
Mhm.
and you can kind of just meander around without without people kind of harassing you. There's all these standing room only seats at UVA, and there's hills. There's a big thing about UVA and students sitting on hills. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was fantastic just for my wife and Cam, who's 11, to be able to see, a couple of innings of the softball game before we was like, okay, let's go and watch some baseball as well. So it was a good time. It was a good time.
Right.
Malik, how are you feeling, my brother? How is everything going in the world of Houston? Is Look, are there going to be terminations? Is the Houston Astros the next team that we're gonna see massive layoffs?
It's hard to say. It actually is hard to say. I mean, we see teams like the Phillies, in which where they fired their manager, and it seems to work out for them. It seems like to be
Mhm.
something that they do to kind of jumpstart their team. With the Astros, it's actually very hard to say as an Astros fan. I mean, a lot of fans on Twitter are probably already calling for Dana Brown's head. They're saying
Oh
they're
yeah,
calling out roster construction issues with the bullpen, even though most of the bullpen is kind of the same that we had as last year, which was a good pen, and the rotation kind of going down, all the injuries. And so, if there was going to be any firings, I guess I would say it should be like the medical staff, but we're just going to blame them for everything.
it,
It's
it's
kind
gonna
of
be
weird.
Can't
it's
do
gonna
that.
be Espada. You think Espada makes it through the year?
Oh, I don't know. He's on the
I don't
last year of his contract. I
And Brown.
feel like, yeah, I'm just I guess Omar Lopez did manage Team Venezuela, so he does have, that experience, and he's been interviewing for managerial roles. So if they were to let go of Espada, I could see Omar taking that role, and it would probably not make a big difference on the team, but you might not see some of the bullpen moves that have been made lately. And so I think that it might happen before this year, but I think that's Dana Brown's guy, and so it's a bad reflection on him if he were to let him go, even because he actually chose him as the manager for the Astros.
Well, I box you in a corner with instant Houston talk. Other than that, my guy Malik, how are you feeling, my man? What's happening? Everything good with you?
Well, in good news, in black baseball news, I guess you sent a message to our group about Xavier Curry. I'm actually happy about that. I know a guy that we really like.
Curry's my guy. I really, really spent some time with him on some Players Alliance trips. He's phenomenal. I know he's excited about this opportunity. I think we've talked about this online in our group chat between Carl Edwards Jr., between Tommy Pham. I'm not exactly sure what the Mets are doing with their black ball players, their American born black players. I don't know if they're like testing ground here. I don't know what's happening with the Mets. So I don't know. Look, I'm happy for Xavier Curry. I think he's a good pitcher and I think he's a
Me too.
phenomenal person. I just don't know if 2 weeks from now we're going to be looking at like whatever the Mets are doing when I don't know what they're doing, Flobo. They feel like they're collecting players and then just letting them go.
I feel the same way. Was it last season when they signed Jackie Bradley Jr.? And I was like, why? And he was on the team for like 13 days. And it was just, you know what? There's a part of me being like, I'm glad they at least given us a shot because a long time the Mets were milky white. But you're right. I want someone to stick around for a while and to be good. So I don't know.
Well, Xavier has the talent. I mean, again, we talked about this. I thought Carl Edwards Jr. has a lot of talent as well,
Still
and,
has a
and
lot of talent.
quite a few others. So we shall see what happens. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our leadoff topics as we always do. I'm going to start with my guy Flobo. Flobo, let's lead it off, man. How are you feeling?
I'm going through it, man.
Dang.
Not only the Mets are the worst team in baseball as of this recording, the best team in baseball is in the same division. Talking about the Atlanta Braves. I know that it's
What
not.
a tough time.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, first of all due respect to Mr. Cox. I know in his family, to comfort this time, passed away. Bobby Cox did, and of course, you want to make sure that anyone who's supported the sport of baseball gets their flowers. But man, seeing the Braves on top really gets me upset. You know what I mean? Like talking about a division that's actually easy to come across. We thought the Phillies were going to be on top, but as of right now, the Braves are 28-13, best team in baseball, even more so than the Dodgers. I'm not sure if it's the Iron Man, Matt Olson. I'm not sure if it's behind the plate having African Americans catch games. I don't know what it is, man. But can anyone stop the Braves right now? I kick it to y'all.
Well, that's a really, really good question, and that's the question that I want to pose to all of you in the group. Flobo, I think you will say yes to this, and I actually will say yes as well. But are the Atlanta Braves the best team in baseball? I think they had a very statement series over the weekend because, again, to be them, as Ric Flair says, to be the man, you have to beat the man. They went to LA, took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, and it looked like a statement series for someone looking without a lot of like emotional attachment to the games. We know who the Dodgers are. We know the Dodgers are banged up. Shout out to Mookie Betts, who is playing rehab games as we speak. But it looked like this was a statement series of the Atlanta Braves saying, "We are here and we're gonna go to LA, play the Dodgers on their turf, and take two out of 3 from them." Where again, Dodgers banged up, a lot of people hurt, a lot of people on the IL, a lot of people rehabbing and coming back, but it's still something. So let's before I fully go deeper into what your question was like, why is this happening? Let me jump over to our Dodger apologist and long term Dodger fan, April.
Uh-huh.
April, did you feel like this was again? Maybe I'm overreacting. Did you feel like the Braves going to LA and doing what they did a big deal, little deal, no deal at all?
I think it was a big deal, and I think because in watching the game, it was very impressive because Sunday Justin Robleski was on the mound. And Justin Robleski has been pitching phenomenally. I'm talking about like darn near under 1 ERA. And it was like he couldn't even stop what the Atlanta Braves were doing. But it's not even just an offensive thing. Defensively, they were making plays where I'm like, how are you doing that? How is this happening? And so it honestly, I was speechless. I made a bet going into the game just knowing that I was going to win it, and I didn't. And so I'm a little disappointed in that as well. But there were, like I said, there were plays in the outfield where I was just like, I was sure, I just knew that something was going to happen. And no, I think it was one where bases were loaded, Max Muncy hit it, and it was literally right at the wall, and he caught the ball, and of course it ended the inning. But any doubts that you had about the Braves going into this, and it hurts me to say this, we can go on ahead and remove all of that because they definitely are for real. And I think most of my doubts came in with the switch at the leadership position, with the switch up of the managers. But nah, they're doing this, and they're doing this without Acuna in the.
You're right. You bring up a good point that they are. Ronald Acuna has been he pulled up with that hamstring. We talked about that on the last episode, and it looks pretty weird. Does not look good, right? Instantly went on the IL after that. But what is happening is Drake Baldwin, Matt Olson, Michael Harris, Ozzy Albies. They're all like Dominic. We can't forget about professional hitter Dominic Smith. They are all doing just an amazing job on the offensive end. And you're right, they're making some phenomenal defensive plays. I think one of the things that have surprised, like just a really pleasant surprise for the Atlanta Braves. And I hate to do this to you, Malik, because I know it's gonna hurt your heart. What's my guy's name? It's
Dubon.
yes,
Yes.
Mauricio Dubon coming over from the Astros. I just lost me for a second, but that's exactly what I was thinking
Yeah.
about. is playing extremely well, and the team is just hitting on all cylinders. Do you think the Braves are the best team in baseball, and what they did to the Dodgers over the weekend? Do you think it's a big deal, little deal, no deal at all?
I just have to start this off with saying this. I think I have bad I think I have bad karma. I'm dealing with bad karma right now.
What did you do to get back karma?
I'm gonna say it on
Understand
live. I'm gonna
that.
say it tonight. So a good friend of our podcast, I believe, Black Girls Love Baseball. She posted a pretty cool reel before the season was kind of getting underway. He said, "Can you drop an emoji that describes your team?" And I said the Braves should have this emoji. I dropped the hospital emoji because at that point, Hassan Kim was hurt. Pretty much half the rotation was getting hurt. Jurickson Profar found out he, kind of likes to take pills sometimes. And so I was
Sometimes.
like I was kind of like doing the nan and poo poo on the Braves before the season even got started. And these guys are just mashing like it's 2021. They're hitting like it's 2019 again. And
I mean,
so
Profar's
this
not doing that. Everyone else is. Yeah.
yeah, everybody else is. And now my team has the hospital emoji under their caption. So I just had a shout out to Black Girls Loves Baseball. She's out there in Atlanta, big Atlanta Braves fan, always galvanizing the fans out there and the ladies out there that love baseball. And so, yeah, I feel like when I made that comment under that post, everything went downhill for the Astros and everything went up for the Braves. And you mentioned these hitters that they have. Last year, we had a lot of underperformance from the hitters that were in that, I guess, second tier of Braves hitters. You know, the Michael Harrises, the Austin Rileys. Now these guys are actually picking it up. Ozzy Albies, a guy that missed my top 10 list of second baseman. Now I'm looking crazy. So anytime it seems like I'm going to slight the Braves, they seem to prove me wrong. So I try not to talk too much about them anymore. So if you want my opinion on them, I say they are the best team in baseball just because they just beat the best team in baseball over the weekend.
I mean, that's a huge deal too. Look, after last season, not say we wrote them off, but it was like, man, the Phillies are strong enough to lead the division again. I mean, I was being Pollyanna about the Mets, but I thought the Phillies were doing a lot better. But it wasn't a case of like, say, the Braves are like 2 games up. They're not 2.5 games up. They're like 9 games clear of the 3 other teams in the league, and that to me is a sign that something catastrophic were to happen to stop that momentum.
Yeah, no. And people are talking in the chat, and rightfully so. We see you, Instagram chat. We really appreciate all of you. But they're saying that they are more worried about the Cubbies than the Dodgers. And look, let me tell you let me tell you.
What do you think?
What do you think? When I watch a game, I'm gonna let you know.
No, let me tell you now. I understand the sentiment because we're living in 2026. The Cubs are the hottest team in baseball, not named the Rays, or maybe even the hottest team in baseball, period. And so I do understand why, folks are saying, hey, look, the Cubs are not only are they good, they're playing very, very good baseball. And this series between the Braves and the Cubs is going to be the series. But let me tell you what I really find so significant about the last series, and it's a little bit of what I already said to Flobo. It's the Dodgers are the champs till they're not. And so I understand that it may not necessarily be, Shohei, Mookie, and Freddie like leading off the top of this order with like, Blake Snell pitching and Glass now. Like it's not all of that right now. That'll be coming. The season's got a long way to go. But I just feel like there's something mentally about going to LA, seeing all those banners, seeing all those players, seeing Doc Roberts in the dugout, and knocking out the Dodgers. It's only 3 games, so 2 out of 3 games. Dodgers did win a game, but I just feel like if you're the Braves, and I think the Braves do feel like, hey, we're the best team in baseball. Let's go out and play that way. I feel like from what I've read, what I've seen, what I've followed, I do feel like the Cubs feel that way too. The Cubs are not short on confidence. They're not a team that's like, oh, geez, we just happen to keep winning games. No, they look at their lineup and say, we are really good. And so I really believe that this is going to be a fun series that's coming up with the Cubs and the Braves. I think it will be kind of important for current like 2026 power rankings and momentum. But I just think there's something so mentally significant about the Braves thinking they got the best record in the National League, thinking that they got the best record in baseball, thinking they're the best team in baseball, and going at and winning a series off the world champs.
Well, it's not even that. They scored 15 runs over 3 games against the Dodgers as well. It wasn't like there were short games at all. I mean, being able to win or being able to score 7 runs back-to-back days says a lot about the offensive power as well. Now, the Cubs face the Dodgers in like August, which is a different conversation entirely. But yeah, I think the Braves are rolling, and I think they're even buoyed by the fact that there's not much competition in the NL East, right? Like, I can't say I'm rooting for the Phillies, but I hope the Phillies be more competitive to put some pressure on them.
Well, the Phillies are being more competitive, right?
I mean, but they're tied, 3-way tie NL East for what, 9 games back is not competitive when it comes to the division race. Jeez, come on.
They're just so far away.
But we've talked about this. I don't know if what's happened in Philadelphia is a reflection of the move they made when they made it, but you can't argue with the statistics. You can't argue with the results. Don Mattingly, since taking over from Rob Thompson, has been a winning manager. The Phillies have been a winning ball club. They just keep with Schwarber and Harper, and those guys have gotten extremely hot. And I don't like, it's so weird because I don't think, based off of everything you read and you hear, like Rob Thompson wasn't the problem, but he clearly wasn't the solution. And they were going for solutions. And so Donnie Baseball gets there and they ask him in the press conference where he's like taking over the team. They're like, what are you going to do that's different? And he's like, not very much. Like, I just, I got to even maybe get out of their way a little bit more. And Rob Thompson wasn't like a micromanager, but Donnie Baseball's like, not very much. I think that locker room, I hate to say it this way, but I think that locker room felt terrible. They got their manager fired. Like, they felt terrible. They got their manager fired. And whatever they needed to do, they started doing it post the firing of their manager. But it wasn't necessarily that the manager was the problem. With that said, that's a long way of saying the Phillies are winning some games, looking like they're in a positive. They dug themselves into a tremendous hole. But again, when it's all said and done, do you not think the Phillies are going to be up there?
It's hard to say.
I don't know. I guess they're not going to catch up. That's all we can probably say. I don't know if they're going to be able to catch up to a team like the Braves where they got Drake Baldwin leading off. It's like you can look at your phone or just get something to eat, and these dudes are like destroying the next team. It's just like these guys just are offensive juggernauts, and I think the Phillies have the pieces to probably catch up offensively and pitching wise, but they set themselves so far behind early that it's going to be hard to catch up to a team this hot, especially whenever Ronald Acuna decides to come back and he's healed.
And here's the thing, this is what I truly believe. You don't have to win the division. You just have to make it the playoffs.
But there are other teams that are playing so much better than them outside of the NL East that, like Malik said, they've dug themselves into a hole. And maybe some of them they'll be able to catch up to. But when you got the NL Central looking the way that they are right now, and then, you can go to the NL West, it's like you can't lose games the way that they were losing and think that the opportunity is still going to be available. It's nice to want them to be in that place, but I don't think that it's safe for us to assume that they'll still be able to have the opportunity.
Here's what I will tell you, and I will tell all of you this because I understand we're following this day to day, so we know the wins and losses, and we have this perception of where things are right now. If the way that we're all having this discussion, the Phillies are currently 9 games out of the division lead off the Braves. They're 9 games behind the Braves. right?
Mhm.
The way
Yeah.
we're having this discussion, we're acting like they're 15 games out of the wild card. Do you know what the wild card is for the Phillies right now?
What is it?
4.5 games. They're 4.5 games out of the playoff. As we
Okay.
speak right now on May 11th. Look at the history of, recent history of how far back those, those what is it, the Guardians of the time, like the
Yeah.
Reds. Look at Reds last year. Like, so I'm just saying, like 4.5 games back is honestly that's a week and a half, 2 weeks of baseball, if in many ways.
Yeah.
So I understand what we're saying, but
Mhm.
look, I know it's not Flobo. You mentioned it on your podcast. It's not April. But it's May.
It's
But,
May.
Right.
but 4.5 games back before the All-Star break is something that I just feel like if a team like a caliber of the Phillies, a team that's a caliber of quite a few teams, when you look at
Mhm.
wild card, like as we speak right now, the Orioles are 1 game out of the wild card, right? Like the Nationals are 4.5 games out of the wild card. It's
Right.
possible, but it's doable. Is
And
what I will say with this stuff.
And let me also add, like, I do want to see the upcoming games for the Phillies because, like, they just beat the Rockies. So, didn't they sweep the Rockies this weekend as well?
Yeah.
So
They bullied
that's
them.
a yeah. So I mean, no offense, I ain't no shade, but I
Yeah.
mean that doesn't give me a little bit of confidence. I need to see you come in
I
like
don't believe it
the
or not,
Braves did
I don't think they
somewhere
swept the
and do
Rockies.
that.
They didn't
Okay,
sweep the Rockies, but they're 7-3. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games.
that's cute.
So they're capable of winning games. That's true, but I feel like they would probably be like more convincing if they were in an AL. I mean, like
Right.
April. I mean, like you mentioned that like how the AL kind of like got out of hand. If they were in the AL, well, I would feel a lot more confident about the Phillies. But I think that like you're saying, they're pretty hot. And as long as I guess they're playing for their manager right now,
Mm-hmm.
they could catch up a little bit. They might make a wild card. They probably could, and I probably would. I'll be eating words by the
I
end of
mean,
the season.
again, this is way too early to talk about. But
No, it's not.
as we look,
Because you're wrong, Cheats. I listen intently to what you're saying about a topic about the Braves. We care about a topic about the Phillies. And I'm telling you one thing. The Braves are doing so much better, and there's so many better teams and stronger
They're
teams.
so good.
Yes.
They're so good.
And they're so
have an
black.
uphill.
What we will say are the Mets are 8 games out of the wild card. So,
Yeah, man. It's always
no. What I was gonna say is, you are right about that, but it's a long way to go. The Dodgers right now are in the wild card. So is the Brewers and the Cardinals. And again, the teams that are ahead of these teams that we're talking about, the central teams, basically the Pirates, the Reds, the Diamondbacks, like are in the West. Like it seems way more feasible than some of the other things as we go through the season. But we'll see, because again, you just never know. With that said, I do think that the Braves are the best team in baseball right now as we speak. And the reason I do think they're the best team in baseball, you mentioned some of the players, but Drake Baldwin and Matt Olson have just been absolutely amazing.
Phenomenal.
They have just been lights out. Chris Sale does what Chris Sale does. He's 6-2 right now. He's looking very, very good as a starter. He started 8 games for them. And I mean, they've just got some real. Bryce Elder has been lights out for them as well.
Yeah,
So,
like why? How?
It's happened. It's happening.
He just pitches.
It's all happening. And again, the Braves, this is a bounce back year for the Braves, as we talked about what happened to them last year and the start that they had, which was god awful. They had a god awful start last year and never recovered. So they've started a lot faster and obviously with a positive disposition. So we will see how the Braves go through, and we will be watching intently as this Braves Club Series. Do we know where that's taking place?
I think that's
Schedule wise.
It's Atlanta. It's Atlanta.
Oh,
Where they
see, that would be
playing?
different if it was in Chicago.
so
it's the Cubs versus the Braves?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's in
Cubs,
Atlanta.
Braves,
It's in
are-
Atlanta.
Starts tomorrow in Atlanta. That should be a very, very good series. So we should all
Yeah.
keep our eyes on it.
Will you be watching?
I actually will. I'll watch some of
Oh, now
that.
you'll watch because it's black and
I
bread. Yeah,
will.
okay.
There
I
it
will.
is,
I
and it's at
mean,
home too. So
so the Braves are on. The Braves are on the BBM extra innings roster right now. They are must watch.
And they're playing themselves apparently because
Michael Harris, Drake Baldwin, Dominic Smith. I'm not going to pass on that. So yes, I will definitely watch some of the Braves Cubs series. Let's jump over to Malik. Let's talk about those African Americans.
let's talk about some African Americans. Look at my African American. Look at him. Look at him. We're going to talk about a player that we generally talk about a lot. You know, the population of African Americans in baseball is steadying, and we hope that it grows. But we're going to talk about a player from the Marlins again. Xavier Edwards is doing it again, guys, but he's doing it differently this year as far as his hitting is concerned. So Xavier Edwards is a guy that I think should be a cleanup hitter. And I'm gonna say why. This is why I'm gonna say it. So X last year, I actually wrote an article going into this year about the top 10 second basemen. In this article, I believe that I ranked him as number 7. But anyway, Xavier Edwards is a really good hitter. And the reason why I think he should be a cleanup hitter is because this guy knows how to hit when men are on base. Isn't it frustrating when you get men on base? There's men on second and third, one out, and you need that hitter to either take a walk, get a big hit, or just not stink and strike out. Well, that's something that Xavier Edwards excels at. And so in 2025, he hit 356 with runners in scoring position. This guy knows how to lock it in when there are men on base. He knows how to control his bat very well. But this year, he's kind of turning it up a bit. So in the article last year, I mentioned that he tripled his home run output from 1 to 3. You know, that's not a, from 1 in 2024 to 3. Some would say that's not a lot of home runs. But right now, he already has 4 home runs, and Fangraphs projected him to hit 5. So you're telling me he's not going to hit another home run for the rest of the year? That's absurd. So I think Xavier Edwards should be hitting fourth in any lineup because right now, what are we seeing? We're seeing power hitters hit first. Nick Kurtz, George Springer, Kyle Schwarber, Shohei Ohtani, James Wood are all hitting first in their lineups, right? These are prototypical cleanup hitters, right? These are guys that they're expecting to do damage early. But let's say we were to flip that narrative and have a guy that gets on base, knows how to hit when men are in scoring position, hitting in a position where there are men going to be on base. So that's my lobby for Xavier to hit fourth in any lineup, and probably nowhere below fourth in the lineup. He's been hitting first often. Right now, this year, he is hitting a smooth three. I think he's hitting over 350.
We're about to dig into the numbers in a second. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he's been hitting with men in scoring position. I think in the fourth in the lineup, I think he has it's definitely above 300. Let me double check that number. 353 right now, hitting in the cleanup spot for the Marlins. And I think he's been hitting in that position out of necessity, given that that team has, some players that are still kind of, finding their way, and X is probably the most advanced hitter on that team. But I'm thinking that this guy is going to kind of start a trend of, leverage hitters that aren't always going to be the most powerful, not always going to be the most physically, gifted, but the guys that know how to hit the ball when it matters the most. So shout out to Xavier Edwards for doing his thing. I got a lot more to write about the guy, and he's really been turning up with the power this year. One more note I want to drop on him, and this was something that I learned from Big League Analysis. He hit 2 home runs right-handed last week, and these were the first 2 home runs he's ever hit from the right side. So just got to point that out.
So let's dig into it a little bit. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Xavier Edwards. We talked about this often in regards to that guy is just a hitting machine. I think we had a discussion on an earlier podcast about do we think Xavier Edwards can win a batting title? Xavier Edwards has played 41 games. His slash line is 322, 409, 477. His WAR is 1.8. But here's what you were talking about that had my antennas up, right? As you mentioned, Xavier Edwards is not known, has never been known to be a power hitter. The idea that this guy has played 41 games this season and he's hit 4 home runs already. He's got 4 home runs, 14 RBIs, 27 runs scored. So he's doing something with his power. 7 doubles, by the way. So he's got the 4 home runs with 7 doubles. He's doing something with his power that is just never been seen before from him. Now and again, he is 26 years old. He works extremely hard in the off season. He works on his, lifting weights. He works on his strength, his speed, his stamina. He made the move from shortstop to second base last year, and at the time, it did not seem like a voluntary move. It seemed like a move that was made basically because they were like, "Hey, look, you need to move off shortstop, play some second base." But since then, he is actually not only is he locked down to be a pretty good defensive second baseman, above average defensive second baseman, I believe, he's also just really showed what he can do at the plate. And it feels like, Malik, correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like a lot of the Luis Ariz tendencies with like Luis Ariz WBC power, where it's like he decides to like in the WBC, I'm going to hit home runs. But that's what it feels like. It feels like he has that type of potential to win a batting title, but also finish the season. I'm not going to go crazy, but if he finishes the season with 10 to 12 home runs, that's a huge difference.
Oh my gosh! If he finished the season with over like 6 or 7 home runs,
I think
you're talking.
Like, how can you not say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's definitely gonna finish this year. If he finishes with 10 home runs, he's easily a top 5, if not top 3 second baseman, just with the ability to get on base. He's already walking more than he's striking out. You also mentioned his strength. There's been like talks about the Marlins investing in their bat speed program, and we talk about that a lot. Joe Adell has some of the fastest like hands in baseball, and he's been that way since he's came up. And so the Marlins recognize that Xavier Edwards, kind of like Luis Ariz, he had much of a slower bat speed because he's able to get to everything. And so with the slower, when you're not swinging the bat as hard as you can every time you're trying to swing it, you're able to kind of control where the ball is going a little bit more. But the Marlins seem they wanted more out of that profile. And it's funny that you mentioned like how Xavier Edwards is not really the most physical guy on the field, but we get a guy like, Mookie Betts, who's literally 5'9", 165, 175 pounds.
Yeah.
And no one really questions that he may hit 35 home runs in a year.
Right.
They're literally the same size.
Xavier Edwards is very unassuming looking, right? Like if you see Ozzy Albies walking down the hallway, he's not tall, but he's so he's so big and he's so thick. You're like, that guy can get the ball out of the ballpark anytime he wants to. Here's the thing that is surprising me, and we talked about it. Xavier Edwards has 4 home runs this season. Xavier Edwards has 8 career home runs.
In all of his
entire major league. And he's been up for a couple seasons. He's 26 years old. The idea that up until this season he had 4 career home runs, and now he has 4 home runs this season. That guy is real. Again, there's a lot of things with a guy with his size, his strength, his speed. There's a lot of things he could change, and his talent, right? Like a lot of folks, if you say in the off season, I'm going to change my swing path or something like that, it might not take. A guy with his bat to ball skills, his hand-eye coordination, he's able to make adjustments and have them work. I remember Jimmy Rollins, the legendary Phillies Jimmy Rollins, telling that story about working with Tony Gwynn and Barry Bonds in one off season, and it changed his entire life. And he became a power hitter in many ways because he put together what Tony Gwynn was doing off the tee and what Barry Bonds was doing in regards to beating the barrel of the ball. And he said once he figured that out, he was hitting, 20 plus home runs a season.
Yeah, I mean, he could be, I hate to make this kind of early comp, but he could be a Jose Altuve, but even more physically capable, faster, better at defense, a little bit more versatile. He played shortstop. Jose Altuve was clipping 25 home runs a year in a ballpark that is conducive for that. I know it's a lot, but that's a lot. I know that's a lot to put on X, but I'm talking about like total value, not home run total possibly, but total value, like
Brother.
defense,
You're
base
right. You're right,
running,
man. You're right.
5 wins a season out of Xavier in his prime. That's
This is
Jose
my
Altuve.
face when we were riding in the car together.
You don't think
We
he can
were
match his
we
war?
were lockstep, Malik. We were lockstep together. I was riding shotgun in the passenger van or whatever you were driving,
I
and
know.
then you went. Then you just went. You went too far. You went over a cliff.
Jose Altuve was very not a power hitter when he was in his first 5 years of Major League Baseball, and then all of a sudden, after the trash can scandal or whatever, he becomes this power hitter, right? I mean, we talk about hot takes. I mean,
This
X has
you're
only been
doing
in the league for
something.
3 years.
You're doing something.
I'm cooking
You're
some
doing
type of
something.
gumbo.
Oh, look. That's a bold statement.
I
That's a
know.
bold statement and a bold comparison.
I'm gonna give it to him. I believe in X.
If anybody I want to do it, I would love Xavier Edwards to be that guy. I think the world of him as a person and as a player. I think he's just a great dude and a great player. But like, let's not drive
Pump the brakes.
Let's not drive the car. Altuve is
He's prolific, I will say.
that's a different level in
Yeah,
regards
you're right.
to.
You're right.
No, I
You
mean,
know, I
I'm
get
not
excited on
I'm
here.
not saying X and like I want to be careful because I want to be complimentary to Xavier Edwards because he deserves it. I also want to be respectful of Jose Altuve
Okay.
and what he's done
All
because
right.
you know if Xavier Edwards finishes with a Jose Altuve career, I think we will all be very pleased.
Or at least 3/4 of it. You talking about base running, defense.
Yes.
Jose has never been the best defender. He's
No,
won one Gold Glove.
no,
He's known for hitting home runs
it's
in
just
the
not
Crawford
fair.
boxes.
It's just you're driving the car off the cliff. That's all I'm saying.
I
Let me
love
say
doing
this
that.
too. I would like to
Go
add
ahead.
something, Malik and everyone else. What you're talking about with Xavier Edwards was what I was alluding to a couple of weeks ago whenever I talked about a consistent hitter getting on the bag, pushing the players forward, being able to move around the bags himself, and even be able to play defense. A lot of times, those players, like, we know that they're doing the job, but it's easy to overlook them because we're always looking for the long ball. But it's great to see that
I
there
know,
is
right?
a player that is out who is out there and is able to go up to the plate, and he gonna give me something. I don't know what the something is, but I just
Yeah.
appreciate having him in that lineup and knowing that he's delivering something that's going to contribute positively to that team. And I'm excited to see that kind of baseball be presented, especially for the Marlins. Like, so yeah, that is. Look, again, I know everybody likes
Yeah.
the long ball, but that right there is always going to get me excited because I just like knowing that a player is going to get the job done.
So,
Yeah.
Malik, you
Go
just something
ahead.
real quick. I don't want to derail the show, but something
No,
really,
you're
I'm
good.
trying to figure out what the actual look at my African American thesis was, right? Because I guess growing up, I mean, the best hitters on the team always did cleanup, right? They did cleanup
Right. The
or the
most
order,
powerful, at
and so
least.
now
Yeah.
that shifted over to the one in the two hole now. Like, what is the fourth position now? Is it for guys like Xavier Woods, or you're saying he worked for that slot in that case with the Marlins?
I guess it depends on the team because we still see Pete hitting in the 4 hole.
Well, that's a bad
With
idea.
which I feel like he should hit a little earlier
Yeah,
right now. But they're doing things in Baltimore. But yeah, that is a good point because I did point out that Nick Kurtz, Kyle Schwarber, Shohei, Wood, these guys are like in the top rankings in exit velocity and they're hitting early and often. What I'm starting to see though is that these teams are, I guess, betting on some of their guys in the lower part of the lineup, giving the guys at the top end of the lineup another opportunity
Yep.
to potentially hit late in games because at the end of the day, your 9 hole, 8 hole, and 7 hole hitter are going to see these pitchers. They're going to be getting at least 3 at bats, and if your best hitter is hitting fifth or fourth, and you need a guy up when there's a man on base. A speedy 9-hole hitter is on base in extra innings. You might want to have Nick Kurtz up. You might want to have James Wood up. You might want to have Kyle Schwarber somewhere hitting there. So I guess people are just kind of abandoning that. Get guys on base and potentially hit a home run. Just hit a home run right now and get on top of them early, like the Braves have been doing, literally all season.
Yeah, I mean, look, analytics changes a lot of things. I mean, that's true. Analytics changes a lot of things, and some of those, Ivy League mathematicians out there says,
well, cheats. I got something for you. Can I give you a better comp to maybe save this? Would you say that? Can we compare X to Brian Roberts?
Power hitters were hitting in the lineup. But go
ahead. What about Brian Roberts comp? Remember switch hitter, Orioles infielder.
Look, I went back and I looked at the numbers. Obviously, you've done too much, but you're exactly right. And it was around that age, even for Altuve, when he hit that 26-year-old age. 26 seems to be the magic number.
Got strong out of nowhere.
He hit 24 home runs that year. Previous to before that, his high at 25 was 15. Right? Altuve's always had an ability to kind of get the ball out of the ballpark. But it really did change for Altuve. 26, 27, 30. I mean, let's remember, Altuve is 36 years old right now.
Yeah, he had a long career.
He has had a long career. He is 16 years of service in the major leagues. I forgot. I'm glad we actually did this conversation because I forgot Altuve broke into the major leagues at 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And so you got to think about even body development. I can only imagine at 21 years old breaking into the major leagues. Altuve was what, 125, 130. You know what I mean? Like
the jersey was hanging off of him.
Like yeah.
Now he's fire hydrant man.
And you see Xavier Edwards today. And he's again unassuming if he's walking in a grocery store per se, but he's bulky. He's got the muscle. Here's the last question before we switch off of this. Flobo and I were talking earlier today, and one of the things that's actually important is that in Major League All-Star voting, every team gets at least one All-Star. And we were talking about this because we were like, if you're wondering how Josiah Gray made the All-Star team, or even James Wood made the All-Star team, or CJ Abrams for the Nats, it was like they're on not good teams, but every team gets at least one All-Star representative. If you're looking right now, does Xavier Edwards make the cut for an All-Star vote?
Oh, he got the same batting average as Altuve. I mean, why not?
Well, are they voting for Altuve right now?
When he was really good, when he wasn't 37. It's almost if it's a package deal. I mean, his double play partner Otto Lopez is actually hitting just as well as he is. It's almost like they're feeding off of each other right now. So if there was one vote, I think it would go to X because he's probably, I guess, it's hard to say with the Marlins, the more popular player between those two, even though it is the Marlins, so we're picking from apples and oranges. So I think X is probably going to win it over Otto, just because the shortstop competition is probably a little bit higher for Otto. But yeah, I'll give it to X.
Is there anybody else that you would say we would look at, especially on the hitting side for the Marlins, and say that that's an all-star?
I mean, Otto Lopez is the only guy. He's like hitting over 300. Right? He's killing. It's like no one really knows that he's hitting that well.
Yeah.
But it's looking like it's going to be X or Otto. Stowers was hurt, so unless he goes on a tear and hits 12 home runs this month, it's going to be those two. Liam Hicks, actually. Liam Hicks, their catcher. He's mashing.
my antithesis to this is like, man, no one's going to vote for you on the fan side because the team is doing well or has the big fan base, and the commissioner picks people at random. So I don't – anyone can be an all-star, man. Like, I could be an all-star.
You don't believe in all-star game, Flobo?
No, man, they're arbitrary. It sucks. It's awful.
Well, look, I mean, this is a year right now, and somebody actually put it in the Instagram chat as well. This is a year where we could have a significant number of African-American All-Stars. If we're looking at first half stats, there are no-brainers this year that like Byron Buxton and Aaron Judge are absolute just no-brainers. They're like
Ageless wonders.
Drake Baldwin, no-brainer.
Right.
Like these are guys that as we go into July, like they would have to fall off a cliff
Yeah.
in the end of May, June, and going into July not to be in the All-Star game.
Please clip this out. I want to clip this out because when we have the All-Star snubs and you're like, why didn't Drake Baldwin get elected? I'm like, because
Drake Baldwin's going, bro.
They can't be
Drake
trusted.
Baldwin's going.
I'm just saying.
I mean, there's some folks now, and again, Jordan Walker started off extremely hot. He's still, I think, playing well enough.
But he's normalizing.
But is he the guy? Like, does he get a vote? James Wood, CJ Abrams. Again, going back to that, only one national. If only one national is going, it's CJ Abrams right now. Like, absolutely, no brainer.
Yeah.
So,
still, you think so? I mean, Wood got a 900 OPS too.
James could go. James,
and
again, when you talk about the fan votes and all of that stuff in the rounds, James is by far the most popular player in Washington right now. James is the most popular player. CJ was probably the guy that would deserve. So look, it is going to be fascinating to see who, as we go through the next, month and a half, who starts to get hype around these votes and how this stuff works. I mean, I would launch a Jeremiah Jackson campaign, but who would follow me? With that said, ladies and gentlemen, we got to switch some gears. Got to thank our partners as always. Minority Prospects, the Players Alliance, Numbers Game Scorecards. But as we mentioned earlier, it is softball NCAA tournament season, and there's a lot to talk about when it comes to selection, regionals, super regionals. I love this type of year. They end up in Oklahoma City, as they always do. And it is, it's going to blast all over ESPN, ESPN2. I feel like when it gets to this time of year, April, you see college softball everywhere on the ESPN family of networks, more than you see like other sports. We wanted to do something special as we start the NCAA tournament. I believe it starts this weekend, right?
May 15th.
I wanted you to highlight some players that we should be aware of, we should be following, some storylines that we may not know, may not be attuned to. So I wanted to give you the floor to talk about NCAA softball, college softball in the tournament that is starting this weekend.
Hey, everybody. Before I start off with the NCAA softball tournament, I want to give a shout out to Megan Grant of UCLA because this past weekend, she broke the NCAA softball home run record. The record was 37 by the Jocelyn Allo, but Megan Grant hit her 38th home run this weekend, creating a brand new college softball record out there. So shout out to her. This was amazing, fantastic. I actually was talking about it in class today. I was reminding my students of what it was like when we followed the Bonds era, him trying to break the Hank Aaron home run. And so I have been following this for a while. And then there's also the freshman from Oklahoma. She has 36 home runs right now. So she too can be following Megan Grant as well. So there's some great things happening. But for those of you who are new to the softball world and you want to know, okay, who are some players that I should be following? Most people already know who Nigel Kennedy is in Texas Tech, which is great. But there are some other players that I think that you should be paying close attention to. And we're going to start off with probably the best hitter in college softball, and that's going to be Issa Torres of Florida State. She's the shortstop. Homegirl is batting like over 550, okay? And she's doing this missing like 8 games due to injury. She is phenomenal, and Florida State, they are the 9 seed in the regional, so they will be hosting. You want to keep a close eye out on them. They're a little salty that they didn't get a higher seed, so they're gonna be playing with some aggression. The next player that you should be following, she was actually just drafted to the AUSL with by the Carolina Blaze. So she's going to be playing with Alicia Ocasio. Dakota Kennedy of the University of Arkansas. They are a 5 seed. She is an outfielder, a phenomenal outfielder, and also a phenomenal offensive player. So make sure you're looking out for Dakota Kennedy. Number 3, if you know anything about the former Pac-12, the University of Oregon, who I think have some of the best uniforms in college softball, Amari Harper. She is a utility player. They are a 14 seed. And in that particular bracket, they are, let's see, the University of Oregon has only lost 2 games at home all season. So the fact that they are actually hosting in Eugene, this is going to be a tough feat for anybody who is going over there. But Amari Harper is definitely that girl. And you're going to see her this summer because she will be playing with Maya Brady at the Oklahoma City Spark as well. Next up, we actually talked about her in the group chat not too long ago. Cheats was like, who is this girl from Alabama? And I'm like, she's a freshman. Talking about Vic Moten of the University of Alabama. Alabama, who is the #1 overall seed for the NCAA softball tournament. And one thing about Vic Moten that you should know was she was actually nominated for Freshman of the Year. That's how good she is. So she showed out against LSU, y'all. I was happy whenever the game was over because she's just that good. But the University of Alabama went into this whole season being told that they would come out 9th in the SEC. And while they didn't win the SEC tournament, they literally won almost every single weekend tournament that they played in. I have a couple more. I'm giving you a 2-for-1 for this one, though. And one of these is going to be a Tony's Promise player. Your girl, Sydney Trice and Sydney Stewart. They both play for the University of Arizona. Sydney Stewart was just drafted. She's a catcher. And Serenity is an infielder for the University of Arizona. So that is a great one for you to keep a close eye out on. I can't leave out UCLA. Talked about Megan Grant earlier, but Flobo got a chance to see this young lady, Jordan Woolery of UCLA. She also, she is fantastic. Look, she's an infielder, but offensively, defensively, the girl is just doing it all. And you'll be able to see her playing for the defending champions, the Utah Talons. I have one more because I have to bring her up because her father played for the New York Nets, Miss Agbayani, Alana Agbayani, and Kai Minor of Oklahoma. We know Oklahoma has a whole bunch of players over there. We can also add Ella Parker. We can also add Tia Malloy. They are just stacked at the University of Oklahoma, but those 2 players are phenomenal. I love watching Kai Minor play in the outfield. So I'm going to leave you with one last one. Probably the best pitcher in college softball. And this is going to be Maya Johnson, the #3 overall AUSL draft pick. And let me tell you why you need to be watching Maya Johnson. Number 1, all over Twitter, people have been in shock that the NCAA softball committee put Belmont University in the same regional with the #1 overall seed, Alabama. Maya Johnson has a 1.52 ERA. She's had 23 complete games, 11 shutouts, and 366 strikeouts over this particular time period. So for her to go into this particular regional, and they're also going to be playing Southeastern, who knocked LSU out last year. I'm going to tell you right now, that's probably a regional you want to play very, very close attention to. Bama is good, but I really want to see what happens with Maya Johnson in the circle. And in softball, we don't say on the mound. We say in the circle.
I made that mistake.
There's not a mound.
In the circle.
There's not a mound.
Right, there's no mound. It's a circle.
Flat ground.
Yes, this is phenomenal. And I know I didn't mention an LSU player. I can say Jayla Lassiter as well. She's graduating. She's an outfielder. She too is phenomenal. But these are some players that I definitely think that you should keep a very, very close eye out on. They have played fantastic. And Sydney Stewart, let me also add, she's batting like over 450 as well. So as a catcher.
So look, this is fantastic. This is good information. I know some of the players. I am not familiar with Maya Johnson over at Belmont, but those are the types of stories that I think make all NCAA tournaments, right? It doesn't matter if it's, college basketball and the Cinderella stories, obviously college baseball, college softball. You're looking for, that one player, that one team, that one underdog story that could really ride out the tournament.
Right.
And you're saying Maya Johnson and Belmont have an extremely, extremely tough road, but they can make the road very tough for, I believe you said it was the number 1 overall seed, Alabama. Is that right?
Yes. And Southeastern is also in that division. And let me tell you, both Belmont and Southeastern, they're mid-major schools. So a lot of people are already I have seen Bama fans already in my TikTok comments saying we're about to be fighting for our lives. That's how serious this matchup is. Like, even they know they're playing the number 1 pitcher in college softball. But yeah, this is going to be tough for them. And I will also tell you, Belmont, Southeastern, and Grand Canyon, they've all been ranked all year. So wherever they are, even though they're mid-major, there are going to be some upsets. There are going to be some hurt feelings beginning this weekend. So I've already told some of my friends, whoever your favorite team is, get another one. Because because whatever your favorite team is, you might as well start cheering for someone else. Virginia Tech, they were very upset that they're not hosting. And I think I mentioned to y'all that there was an issue because the committee decided not to allow them to host, and this had to do with the hotels being so far away with graduations happening. So they're going into the LSU regional with a chip on their shoulders. But I don't even think, I'm afraid to see South Alabama. If I'm being completely honest, I don't know if we're gonna make it out of there either.
So you're right. It was interesting because you'd mentioned the Virginia Tech thing. There was a couple other, I don't know, like seeding controversies, if you will, with this year's NCAA women's softball tournament.
They did the ranking differently this year. So for those of you who are listening and are wondering why Belmont and Southeastern are in with Bama, they did the seeding this year differently. And you're going to see that reflected also in the Women's College World Series. So the RPI ranking and all that was looked at completely differently. And that's why you're seeing some of these teams, like I wrote them down and I'm just like, my God, I think Mississippi State and Oregon might be in the same regional. So to be honest, you don't know who's going to win out of any of these. You're just going in there.
Yeah, Mississippi State, St. Mary's are in the Eugene regional, and they are there with Idaho State and Oregon. You mentioned Belmont does play Friday at 3:30 against
versus Southeastern
Louisiana first. And then Alabama is playing South Carolina Upstate. I did notice some HBCUs in there.
Yes.
A&M is going to play Florida in the Gainesville regional. Howard University is going to play Duke in the Durham regional. Look, these are all wonderful stories. Is there any chance that any HBCUs make any noise?
I'm going to say this. Last year, Liberty University went very far, okay? And we were not expecting Liberty to do that. Remember, Liberty is a private Christian university.
Yes, not an HBCU, but
not an HBCU,
far from
but
it.
yes. But my point is, even though
Liberty actually shells out a lot of money for athletes too. So.
Yes, but my point is, for them, being that they weren't at that particular level, they were still able to compete at a high level.
Yeah.
Ole Miss weren't even ranked last year, and they made it to the Women's College World Series. So is
Well,
there a chance? There's always a chance.
You mentioned one of my favorite stories earlier when you were talking about the AUSL, and that is JMU's own Odyssey Alexander,
Yes,
who was not even really on the radar of national radar until JMU behind Odyssey Alexander makes this very epic run,
amazing run
in the NCAA softball. Here's the thing that I will say. I really do feel as if, and maybe this is just maybe it's just kind of a sign of the times that we're in, but I really feel like we're disrespecting Najri Kennedy. I feel like we need to put some respect on her name and see what she does when she gets back in the NCAA tournament. Because again, she wasn't the number 1 overall draft pick at the AUSL. There was somebody else that got drafted before her. We're talking about
Harlan Pickens.
You're talking about Maya Johnson probably being the story of the tournament, possibly at Belmont. I just feel like Kennedy, when Naja gets going, it's going to be a good show. Now, again, I don't know if the team around her is as good as it was last year, but I just feel like we're overlooking what should be, I think, or could be the biggest story in college softball.
Let me say this, because I told this to y'all before the show. I'm not overlooking Najri at all. Like, I love Najri. And this year, in fact, one of the good things for Texas Tech is they went out and got her some help. So they got Caitlin Terry from UCLA. So they have 2 aces on the mound to be able to compete. And that was a big issue last year, because once they got to Texas in the Women's College World Series, that final, like, she was burnt out. She had pitched so many innings. That's not going to be a case this particular time. What hurt Texas Tech this particular year was they lost their conference championship. So some people are wondering why they didn't get seeded higher. And that is going to be one of the reasons. I love Najri, and I think everybody knows who she is. My point was to highlight people like, you're probably not going to know who Dakota Kennedy is. You probably haven't heard of, like, you love Benny Agbayani and didn't even know his daughter was bobbing like this in college softball. So I want to make sure that we give the same respect to other players who are doing so very well. Because like Jordan Willery, like, she should be a household name. Like, if you're not already talking about her, and people are disrespecting UCLA. They're saying that the ballpark is smaller and that they shouldn't get the credit. And UCLA, they too have a chip on their shoulder. They want people to understand who they are. So I'm happy that Najri has helped this year. They also went out and they got Jasmine Burns. She's another player that you should be on the lookout for with Texas Tech. And I just don't think you're going to count out Jerry Glasgow. It's Jerry Glasgow. Like, he's going to take,
right? I don't think
he's going to take some risks, and that's what you want in a college coach who knows the game and who's going to use his players at their very best. So
very much, I think another team, if you will, that is, I think, overlooked is a tough word because they're so really, really good. But we're not going into this NCAA tournament saying that this is the Oklahoma Sooners tournament to lose. And I think that very much like we talk about these teams, all they do is win. Oklahoma has a really, really good team this year. They've got
a lot of freshmen,
really, really talented women on that team. And I just feel as if no one is talking about. I can remember an NCAA softball tournament going in and having people not talk about the Oklahoma Sooners. And they've lost 8 games this season. They're 48-8. But I just feel like not enough people are talking about the Oklahoma Sooners.
Can I say what I believe? I believe one of the big reasons why is, number one, their regional is not coming across as difficult as other regionals. When you look at like the Eugene regional or even the Nebraska regional, like, that's a regional I think everybody should be watching, because Nebraska is good with Jordy Fromm on the mound, but like, somebody gonna be fighting for their lives. So when you look at Oklahoma, do I think that they're going to make it to the next round? I almost think that we expect them to beat Oklahoma and to just do it. But let me tell y'all something. I watched that Oklahoma and Georgia game. Oklahoma was up 4-0 in the first inning in the SEC tournament. And then they scored another home run, and Georgia scored 10 straight runs. And like when I say there was nothing Oklahoma could do, and this is Oklahoma, like they look like Georgia just had the momentum and there was nothing you could do that could stop them. And this is what I want everybody to pay attention to. If you listen closely. We don't know who's going to win this year. Because in college softball, well, let me back up. In college baseball, UCLA has been the number one team all year. No one has dethroned them. In college softball, it has been Texas Tech, Nebraska, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Alabama, etc. So when we start going into why people aren't like, we don't know who's going to win this year, and that's not a disrespect to Oklahoma. I think it's more of a respect to what college softball has become. There's a parity that exists, and we are beginning to witness this greatness. And this is why people are excited about this particular tournament than I think any other tournament.
And I mean, I don't think nothing highlights that more about this whole conversation. And I believe the defending national champions is the University of Texas, right? Have we not?
Yep.
Have we not talked about them at all?
Listen, and Tegan Kavan, I didn't even realize this girl was a sophomore on the mound last year, and her grandmother died like when she was going to play the final game.
The circle at the mound.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. The circle. You're right. The circle.
But
she is a freaking like monster in the circle, and Texas just won the SEC tournament. Yep. So that's why they got an automatic bid as well. So again, I think with Texas and OU, there's an expectation that they're going to win their regionals. But with a lot of these other teams, it's kind of like, I don't know. And what happens with the I don't know particular part. So.
Well, that is the glorious part of this, April. We want to thank you for that recap there. And we'll just have to watch it on the field. We'll have to watch it play out. It starts on Friday,
May 15th.
So every game, I think every team is in action in the regionals on Friday. Then it'll go to kind of classic, double elimination type rules. Then they'll go to the super regionals, and then they'll go to Oklahoma. So very, very exciting time of year.
And let me also add, if you are interested, I'm going to be going live on TikTok on Wednesday with my girl Jifa. We're going to be talking about the NCAA tournament brackets, the regionals, and what some people are excited about, and the fact that some people are very disappointed in some of the placements of teams. So please join us Wednesday on TikTok, 6 p.m. live. And yeah, we're going to be chatting it up.
Awesome. We'll have to definitely check that out. Let's close out this show as we always do. Last thing we'll talk about, and we'll be as brief as possible as we close, as we're a little bit past the hour, but gotta give some love to my Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore Orioles, and I'm talking really off the field, and they had quite the weekend. In Baltimore. They had, I think, the most highly anticipated bobblehead giveaway of the year by far on Friday. That was the first 20,000 fans received the Tupac Shakur bobblehead. They were lined up. I'm talking about early in the morning outside of Camden Yards, stretching the line. You saw it on video, stretching all the way across. Camden Yards security and officials actually opened the stadium early because they were like, the line is just too ridiculous. We want to get this over with, basically. Wow. There's nobody, like, the line was so long, it was like, getting in line now will do nothing for you. So in order to, like, get people in the game, at a normal time, they were just like, we got to open the gates early, which they did do. Tupac Shakur's sister threw out the first pitch on Friday. Earlier in the day, the city of Baltimore dedicated a street to the late Tupac Shakur. Mayor Brandon Scott was there. Tupac's sister Set Shakur was there. It was just this connection between Tupac, the city of Baltimore, the state of Maryland. As a teenager, his high school years, I believe he went to the Baltimore School of the Arts. That was one of the connections. Spencer's obviously his formative years there. Fast forward to Saturday, and it was Negro League Heritage Night in Baltimore as well in Camden Yards. They had Ambassador Andrew Young at the game, which was it really impressive to see. And they obviously had all of these wonderful tributes. It was just, let me backpack. I missed one thing. Friday night, again, this all is dependent on how you feel about Nelly. But Nelly was
the performance.
Tupac bobblehead night, Nelly performance after the game. Fast forward to Saturday, Ambassador Andrew Young's there, Negro League Heritage Night. It was just like, and then obviously rolls into Mother's Day on Sunday, all across obviously the country, and Major League Baseball takes a big part in Mother's Day. Pink bats, pink cleats, pink gloves, a lot of things of that, and a lot of tributes to moms. I just wanted to bring this up to the group because I know Flobo and I have had a lot of conversations about this in the past. Do these things work? Do these things not? If your goal is to grow the game, make the game more inviting and attractive and relevant to underserved communities, minority communities that may have been turned away from the game, does a weekend like the weekend they had in Baltimore help? Does it help promote the game? Does it help attract new audiences to the game? I will be the first to tell you, of the 20,000 people picking up Tupac bobbleheads, a lot of them were white dudes.
Yeah, of course.
They love Tupac.
Vinyl collectors.
Of the 10,000 plus fans after the game watching Nelly do the songs that Nelly does, a lot of them were white dudes and women. So the question is, I'll start with Flobo because I know we've had this conversation in the past. Do you think this type of outreach, because it is outreach, do you think this type of outreach helps grow the game and make it more relevant for our community?
Short answer is I hate bobbleheads. Next question. No, I'm just kidding. I do hate bobbleheads, but that's not the question you're asking. So I think the answer is yes, but the issue I have is the subject matter that are celebrated. Now, I have nothing against Tupac specifically. It's not me starting off East Coast, West Coast beef one more time.
Ooh, you are in LA.
I am in LA, and I am from Brooklyn.
Tread lightly.
But my issue with this is it's a public figure that has been part of crossover culture for about 20, 25 years, right? This isn't a new up and coming rapper from the area. This is not a Baltimore Negro museum or African American museum that could be relevant outreach. This is kind of like pop stuff. Like about 10 years ago, when someone wanted to do like rap, they would book Pitbull for things. Why? Because Pitbull was safe. And Tupac is safe now because he's been gone for so long. So I think like I like the idea in theory. I just wish that if you really mean it, say it with your chest and get more relevant, down to earth, street level things if you want to outreach to the community.
Yeah, bring in Ye.
No.
Lines outside to leave.
No, you know what? It's funny. I understand what you're saying, but I actually don't think it would have the impact that the Tupac bobblehead night has. So, yes, you could get an up-and-coming hip-hop artist from Baltimore, but it's not going to get 40,000 people lined around Camden Yards. And
Well,
so
is
they're
that-
not going to get people talking about it. So you got to I put this in the category, as you said, I think this is the most anticipated bobblehead release of 2026. It's the most anticipated hip hop bobblehead release since Outkast in the Car in Atlanta and Truist.
Yeah, that was a big one.
There was an Ice Cube release, there was an E40 release. If you're going hip hop artists, culturally in LA, there was a Kobe Bryant Dodgers bobblehead
in the jersey too.
Yeah,
I remember that.
That was a huge one for culture as well. But you can't do these things and not have people talk about them if you're using, up and coming artists from Baltimore. It just doesn't
Right.
work.
Yeah, I don't
I
know if you're
understand.
gonna be able to. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, but yeah, I don't know if it's like I guess what impact are we looking for? Like you said, Cheats, there was mostly white fans pulling up and
Yes.
grabbing the bobblehead,
Yes.
but like on the other hand, I don't think that a lot of black fans are gonna show up if JPEG Mafia is throwing out the first
I
pitch
don't
at
Yes.
know who that
Baltimore.
is.
I know who JPEG Mafia is.
Right. I'm like,
Baltimore
I don't
knows
know
who
who that is.
JPEG Mafia is, but the state of hip hop now, we can even talk about that. I guess almost like what's gonna bring, I guess, attention to hip hop in the form of baseball is this nostalgia. Because right now, if you're talking about the best artists out there, right, people who maybe turn on Spotify are gonna say Drake and Kendrick, and maybe right now Isaiah Rashad because the album just dropped. But
Mhm.
I guess when you go into hip hop conversations in baseball, it's almost still gonna have to be that nostalgia thing because. Um, right now even hip hop as a music genre is not the top music genre, and that can be a conversation we have too.
Mhm.
So it's almost like we could I wonder if the if this move was really more a commemoration of Tupac's family, his life, and his legacy, more so than just kind of like, hey, black folks, come out, we got Tupac here. So and
No,
so I don't know.
I think the one thing that was, I mean, there's a couple of things that were really exciting about the way that they did it.
Mhm,
Mhm.
I do think Baltimore, if they were going to do it, they picked a figure with ties to the city, right?
Mhm.
mhm,
They
right.
got everybody in the city, in city government, local officials. They were all involved. Like I said, there was the
Mhm,
the street dedication with the mayor and his family there at the street prior to them going over to the game, being a part of. I like it. Did not feel to me what Baltimore did was, hey, black folks, we got Tupac on a bobblehead, come out. It did feel like a real tribute to
mhm.
his legacy, his family, and the baseball game was kind of a catalyst to kind of bring that in. The question I wonder, because there's two sides of this street, right? There's the owners and operation side that says, why do we constantly do these nights if African Americans make up less than 2% of our stadium, make less than 1% of our stadium? So if we're not coming to the game, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
what incentive do we have to do HBCU night, to do, special heritage nights that will attract different audiences? And there's advocates and baseball fans like us that are saying, no, no, no. You do these nights to try to open a window, right? To
Right.
try to bring that bridge over that our community has felt has been drawn up, like the drawbridge has been drawn up for years. Lower that drawbridge and do things that invite us to the stadium so we can be a part of the activities. I guess hindsight is always going to be 2020, but do we believe these efforts are worth it? Are the owners going to look at this and say these activities are in vain because our community is still not going to the ballpark?
The issue for me is MLB has a messaging problem. And it's one thing for you to have these bobblehead and these HBCU nights, but you're not getting the message across because you're not using the right people to get them out there. So I know to follow certain people, like, and I know that when they post that this is something that I need to pay attention to. There are obviously us, and there are other social media creators out there to advertise for MLB, and I think that they need to make it their business to get with these people to get the messaging out. Because one thing that I've noticed, and y'all are on Threads now, and I think y'all see it too, a lot of people don't want to feel like they're missing out on things. And the
Mhm.
second they see that everybody else is having fun and they're not,
Yeah.
they want to be a part of it, because you have a whole bunch of people, including women. What's it like to go to a baseball game? I want to go. Y'all have fun. So, but when I didn't even know that this happened or this existed. So why would I would be upset that I missed a Tupac bobblehead, especially if I was a fan and I was in the vicinity to be able to get one. So for me, like Major League Baseball today, the Astros, they had a Care Bear night, and they have Dollar Dog night. I know when Dollar Dog night is on my calendar. Okay. And I make sure all my friends know when Dollar Dog night is too. But that's not a messaging problem for me and the people around me. But Major League Baseball, if you're trying to attract that audience, you got to find who is within that niche to get that out to others so that they too can participate in what you are trying to get the reach out for. And that is where I feel baseball is missing out. Like, this is a perfect opportunity. You do finish your breakfast every day. People are tuning in to finish your breakfast on Instagram, on YouTube, on Substack. But if they use you, that's something that people would be like, oh, darn, let me go ahead and plan this out because this is coming up. But when we don't know that that exists, why would we focus or pay attention on that? And the last thing I'll say, somebody was like, thank you for posting about the softball selection show. I didn't know it was today. Again, it's a messaging problem. So we have to do a better job if we want the sport to grow, to make sure that the right people are getting that message.
Yeah.
When I talk about scale, about the Tupac thing, again, not knocking Tupac, but that is a very concerted issue to have one giant moment of the long lines and all that. And so, yeah, if I say Tupac versus a local artist 1v1, it's going to be Tupac every day. But if that's the goal. If your goal is to say, hey, look, we did one thing for the Negroes and they came out, then you're done. But if you really want to have ongoing outreach, it has to be smaller and be more consistent. Like I go to Seattle, I look at Seattle, and they have like ladies' night deals on every weeknight game. And you see groups of ladies coming together like, yo, we're going together as a group to see the games because there is a path to see that repeatedly throughout the season. This 81 home games, this is why the whole Texas Rangers not having a Pride Night thing is kind of weird, right? But 81 home games, you could do this many times. But if you want to check a box and say, yep, we did it, then yeah, give me all
Tupac night.
Yeah, Tupac night, Outcast night, call it a day.
Well, and here's the thing. I think we're very quick to say a blanket MLB situation where I think the onus really has to be on the clubs, right?
Yeah.
So it's maybe we should be saying like the clubs have a communication problem, or
I'm okay with that,
or even an outreach problem, as opposed to, because all of these clubs are 30 individual clubs, and the questions are which one of them can maximize that type of outreach to actually yield results. Right. I think Seattle's an interesting case study because we know what the population numbers are.
Right.
But they have the Steelhead night. They come every Sunday.
They also have, like a club and a franchise willing to do those things. Seattle is they have a franchise willing to do those things.
Right.
I think one of the reasons why so many people are excited about San Diego and their new ownership that I believe was approved this week is that they've got a ownership group now that they feel will be willing to be even more accommodating to minority voices and obviously that large Latino population that they have supporting the Padres. So I find it's interesting because I do look at what Atlanta has done. Atlanta is a great example of outreach from a franchise level to outreach to grassroots organizations, community organizations, and having a level of inclusiveness in Atlanta to come to be Braves supporters, right? It's interesting because I feel like Chicago, Detroit, even Philadelphia, Baltimore, DC, these are teams that have the potential to get a large population of minorities coming to their stadiums if things are done in a way that's inviting. So I do find I feel like it's a process, right? I feel like it's a challenge in some ways because again, there is that chance that the club feels as if they're doing a lot and not getting enough in return to continue to maintain. Because again, this is a relationship where I do feel like you're going to have to say, hey, we might give away the first 2, 3, 4 years of this before we start seeing a return on investment. And obviously in 2026, owners may not have that level of patience.
Well, I'll tell you, like, she was on the podcast earlier, Mia, Black Girls Love Baseball. They're doing an event at Truist in a few days.
Mhm.
And this particular thing they have, it's what the Cowgirls take over at the Braves. You get a photo op, you get a free a Braves straw hat. Like, these are things that are out there, but guess what they're doing? They're advertising, and they're making sure that the community that they're in is able to participate.
Sure,
So
and I mean,
you're right, and I think that's the thing, that the Braves are willing to go that mile.
And we just had shout out to Black Baseball Media, Coach
Yes.
Ian, those guys as well. They just had, they hosted their first HBCU game at Wrigley Field. They had a whole week of activities along with the mayor of Chicago at Wrigley Field doing all this. So yes, there are things. Shout out, even if it's not minority based or special interest based, guys like Phil Flobo, Ed and the Dad Hat crew. They have their meetups and those things. I do think that bringing people to the ballpark is different than talking about it, just talking about it on the internet. People like physically going to the ballpark, physically being in locations. And again, if you're bringing folks to a location, I believe it was the last Flying Squirrels game here in Richmond. We had Sid and Dana and a bunch of folks come down to go to that game. And it was like we almost had like a whole Black Baseball Mixtape group going to that game. And so the idea that you're bringing folks to the game is a different level of relationship, if you will. So I do understand it. I think it's a big part of it. I think a lot of media folks have figured that out. That's always, obviously their next step. But it's interesting because I do think those types of individual efforts do help grow the game. I do think growing those individual efforts or those grassroots efforts in coordination with the clubs, the franchises, and the franchises doing things, I think, to invite folks all help. I don't know at what scale, right? You just don't know. And I do find it interesting. This is not something we'll answer today, but I do find it interesting based off of the weekend that the Orioles had with bobblehead night and Nelly and Negro League night. Does that translate to more of our community actually showing up at Camden Yards? I'll tell you what does attribute to it more than anything else I've seen over the last 4 years of going to a lot of baseball games. Winning.
Amen. You ain't lying.
I know. I mean, I just said, like, when I first started going to Orioles games in this capacity as a Black Baseball Mixtape, the Orioles were terrible. And you didn't see a lot of families. You didn't see a lot of Black families go to the games. The Orioles win 100 games, go to the playoffs 2 years in a row. I remember I guess it was last year or the year before. It was last year, I think, or maybe the year before. It was an afternoon game during the middle of the week in the summer against the Astros. And I looked around and all you saw was our people.
I mean, obviously, yeah.
Because they were a good team. And like April said, people don't want to miss out. If they're winning and the team is the talk of the city, everybody's going to find ways to get to those games.
It's the least they can do. You're talking about every time a team comes to a city, there's taxes involved, public funding, housing gets taken away from African Americans. The least you can do is win some damn games.
And why y'all say that? I'm sorry. I went to the Dodgers Astros game last week, and they had it on a dollar dog night. I'm like, they trying to take everybody money, because why would they have a dollar dog night on dot? And when I say the lines were so long and it was congested, but it was a good time, and you got to see every kind of person have that experience, especially us.
I think we're in agreement that consistency matters. Yeah, winning on the field helps, but if there's things happening every day or every week or something that makes you feel like I can bring people back, then that's super important. And this is why some teams disappoint me, and some teams I'm like, okay, I see you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to end it there. This is a another edition of the Black Baseball Mixtape Podcast live. We got to thank our partners on the way out. The Players Alliance, Minority Prospects, Number Game Scorecards. As always, make sure you score your game with Number Game. And while you're filling those out, go get a Black Baseball Mixtape scorecard. Put in the code Black Baseball Mixtape and get a little discount for yourself and help out the show. You can check us out on Substack as well, Black Baseball Mixtape. That's where all the new stuff is. All the new stuff is on Substack. So make sure you check that out. Merch is available. The Discord is still open. You have to DM us for the link to the Discord. And I'm going to get you out of here, but we have new episodes of In the Booth featuring Flobo Boyce, new episodes of 10th Inning Talk. Make sure you catch April live on Wednesday, 6 p.m. as she's talking on TikTok. Make sure you follow that. And Butterman Baseball, we've got stuff coming in the works as always. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to end this. We will catch you next time.
Bye, y'all.